Hey guys, I'm really glad you're here tonight. Before we drift into the story, I want you to know that this space, this soft little pocket of the internet, is meant for rest, for unwinding, for that moment at the end of the day where your shoulders finally drop and your mind gets to breathe a bit. So take a second, adjust your pillow, your blanket, your headphones, whatever you need. Dim the lights if you can. Let your room get just a little softer, a little darker, a little quieter. And as always, you can like, subscribe, or comment, but only if you really feel like it. There's absolutely no pressure. This is your time, your space. Tonight's story is called The Girl Who Bottled the Stars, a calm, psychological fairy tale about light, love, and learning how to let go. And it's told gently, at the kind of slow pace that invites you to melt a little deeper into your bed. It's a story that understands you're tired, that you've carried a lot today, that your nervous system deserves a long exhale. So here's the setup. You're walking into a world where the night sky is so vast and so quiet that you swear you can hear the stars humming above you. A world where light behaves like a living thing, slipping, swirling, drifting, like it has moods of its own. And somewhere in this world lives a girl with a very unusual habit. She collects stars, not in a metaphorical way, but literally. She captures tiny glowing pieces of the night, slipping them into glass jars the way someone else might collect seashells, fireflies, or forgotten coins from the bottoms of old drawers. Why? Because she's afraid of losing the light. She's afraid the night will grow dark again. She's afraid of empty skies. She's afraid of losing something beautiful before she's ready. And maybe, just maybe, you know that feeling too. But tonight, you're not just an observer. You're part of her story. You'll walk beside her, help her gather stars, learn with her, laugh with her, and eventually discover something she's been avoiding for a very long time. So sink a little deeper into your bed. Feel gravity wrap around you like a weighted blanket. Let the day fall away behind you, like slipping off a heavy coat at the end of winter. Your breathing doesn't have to be perfect, just gentle, in and out. The rhythm settling into something slow and unhurried. In this story, nothing is rushed, nothing is sharp. Nothing is expected of you except to listen, soften, and drift where the words carry you. So, whenever you're ready, let's step into the first chapter. The night is waiting, warm and wide and patient. And somewhere out there, in the quiet, a girl is lifting a glass jar toward the sky. You stand at the edge of a meadow, where the grass reaches your knees, brushing softly against your legs like sleepy cats, weaving between your footsteps. The air is cool, but in that pleasant, almost sparkling way that makes you inhale a little deeper. It smells like night-blooming flowers, dew, and something faintly sweet, like warm sugar drifting on a breeze. This place doesn't feel like the world you left behind a moment ago. It feels slower, quieter, a world that isn't in a hurry to go anywhere. Above you, the sky is an ocean of dark blue, with thousands of tiny lights drifting like slow-moving fish. They aren't fixed stars. They're floating, wandering, little glowing creatures that pulse, shimmer, and occasionally dart playfully across the sky, as if they're teasing the darkness. You watch one glide low, trailing a faint ribbon of gold behind it, and that's when you see her. The girl stands in the middle of the meadow barefoot, her toes buried in the cool earth, her hair falling in messy dark waves around her shoulders. She's wearing a sweater that looks oversized and extremely soft, the kind someone definitely stole from a friend or sibling, and then refused to give back. In her hands is a glass jar, clear, simple, lightly scratched from years of use, and inside it, a tiny star flickers like a quiet heartbeat. She glances up at you with a surprised expression, not frightened, just curious, as if people don't normally wander into her nighttime rituals. Her eyes are bright in that way. People's eyes look after they've cried a little, or stayed awake long enough to cross into a strange, peaceful clarity. "Oh," she says softly, almost whispering so she won't disturb the sky. "You found me." It's not a question. It's more like she expected you eventually. Before you can reply, a star drifts low enough that its light brushes against her cheeks. She lifts the jar, opens the lid, and waits, without chasing, without grabbing. The star hovers, curious, then slips gently inside, like a firefly finding a home. The jar glows warm. The girl smiles faintly. "I don't like the dark," she admits, her voice barely louder than the hush of the wind. "So, I keep a little light with me, just in case." She gestures for you to follow her as she walks deeper into the meadow. Her steps are soft, barely bending the grass, and you walk beside her without thinking, falling naturally into sync. The way you fall into step with someone whose rhythm makes sense to your body. Around you, the night hums with quiet magic. Stars drift lazily, the sky breathes, the world feels safe. As you walk, the girl tilts her head toward you, studying you with gentle curiosity. "You're carrying something heavy," she says matter-of-factly. "Not in your hands, just in your chest." Her tone isn't accusing, it's noticing, like she's pointing out a leaf tangled in your hair, or a shoelace that's come undone. "You don't have to tell me what it is," she adds. "People forget that silence can hold things too." A soft breeze passes, tugging lightly at your clothes, brushing cool fingers across your skin. The meadow seems to lean in around you, listening, not pressuring. "You know," she continues, lifting the jar so it lights both your faces, "everyone thinks light is something you're supposed to keep. But it's not. Light wants to wander. It wants to move." She hesitates. For the first time, her voice trembles the tiniest bit. "I just haven't figured out how to let go yet." The path ahead curves gently, glowing faintly as drifting stars illuminate it. The story is just beginning, but already you can feel the edges of your mind loosening, thoughts softening, tension dissolving like sugar in warm tea. You walk beside her, the jar glowing between you, and the night deepens into something even calmer. The meadow narrows into a winding trail bordered by tall, moonlit reeds that sway with the slow rhythm of ocean waves. Each step feels quieter than the last, as though the ground itself is cushioning your footsteps. Even your breathing seems to blend with the night, a gentle in and out that matches the soft pulse of the drifting stars overhead. The girl walks a little ahead of you, holding the glowing jar close to her chest. The light inside flickers softly, casting warm ripples across her sweater and illuminating the path in front of both of you. "You ever notice," she says suddenly, "how people don't realize they're holding their breath?" She glances at you, her eyes warm. "It's like we try to keep everything inside, thoughts, worries, memories, and our bodies tense up because they don't know when it's safe to let go." She stops and looks at you with quiet intention. "Try it," she whispers. You inhale slowly, and then exhale, longer, deeper, like you've been carrying air in your lungs for days. The night responds. The reeds sway more gently. A soft hum passes through the sky like the universe is exhaling with you. The girl nods approvingly. "See? The night likes when you breathe." She continues walking and you follow, letting your steps fall into a steady, calming rhythm. The star in the jar glows brighter now, not aggressively, just warmly, like it recognizes the peacefulness settling into your chest. Most people think I collect stars because I want them, the girl says, but that's not it. I'm afraid of empty skies. Her voice is steady, but there's something fragile beneath it, something honest. When I was little, the night felt endless, gentle, like it would always be there. But then there was a week, just 1 week, when the sky went dark, completely. No stars, no moon, nothing. She hugs the jar a little tighter. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't know darkness could just show up whenever it wanted. You walk in silence for a moment, the trail glowing faintly from the drifting lights above. So I started collecting, she says, 1 jar at a time. A little insurance policy, a little safety blanket, a little something. She laughs softly, not embarrassed, just aware. It sounds silly when I say it out loud, but when you're scared of losing something, you'll do anything to keep it close. Ahead, the trail widens into a small clearing, surrounded by willow trees, whose branches drip with strands of pale, glowing starlight. It looks like a sanctuary, peaceful, dreamlike, untouched. The girl steps into the center and sits in the grass. She gestures for you to sit too. When you do, the earth beneath you feels warm, like the ground remembers sunlight, even in the middle of night. She sets the jar between you. The star inside pulses gently, projecting tiny constellations across the grass. They float and shimmer like reflections, rippling across a lake. It's strange, she says quietly. Everyone assumes that light solves everything, but too much of it. Trapped, held too tightly. It stops being light. It becomes a burden. She plucks a piece of glowing starlight off a willow branch. It melts instantly into a soft spark that dances around her fingers, before drifting upward and fading into the sky again. I just want to feel safe, she admits. But sometimes I forget that safety and control aren't the same thing. You watch her, the quiet ache in her words, settling into the space between you. There's no rush, no need to answer. The night holds the silence gently, like cupping water in open palms. A drifting star glides low overhead. Without thinking, you lift a hand. It slows, brightens, and circles down toward your palm, hovering just above your skin. The girl watches, her eyes widening slightly. It likes you, she says softly. Stars only come that close when someone's carrying something heavy, and finally sets it down. You feel a warmth in your chest, subtle, steady, like a knot loosening. The star lingers another moment before floating back into the sky, leaving behind a trail of soft gold. The girl looks at you, really looks at you. Maybe you're here for the same reason I am, she says, to learn that light doesn't disappear. It just moves. You sit together in the clearing, the glow of the jar soft between you, and the night hums like a lullaby you've known your whole life. The clearing feels like it exists slightly outside of time, the kind of place where clocks would get confused and decide to just take the night off. You breathe in slowly, the warmth of the star's earlier touch still lingering in your chest like a quiet ember. The girl reaches for another willow branch, gently brushing her fingers against the glowing strands. They sway as if they recognize her, shimmering like tiny curtains of soft gold. The whole tree hums faintly, not in sound, but in presence, like a warm memory drifting to the surface. This place only appears at night, she explains, as she watches the strands glide between her fingertips. It's shy during the day. The sunlight makes it nervous. You raise an eyebrow, and she gives a tiny, crooked smile. The kind that suggests she knows exactly how that sounds, but is fully committed to the idea anyway. It's true, she insists, leaning back on her hands. Some things grow best in darkness. Not the scary kind, the gentle kind. The kind where you can finally hear yourself think. You know exactly what she means. The night around you isn't empty. It's spacious, soft, like a room with really good acoustics. A breeze shivers through the willow branches, sending trails of glowing starlight drifting past your shoulders. One brushes your arm, dissolving into a warm sparkle that sinks into your skin. It feels like being touched by a memory you'd forgotten you loved. The girl watches the spark fade and says, "You know, when people talk about letting go, they make it sound like opening your hands is the hard part. But really, it's the moment before that, when you're deciding whether you can survive without holding on." She looks down at her jar. The star inside flickers softly, almost like it's listening. "I'm not good at that moment," she murmurs. "I hold on too long. To everything. People, places, habits, even things that hurt." She glances up at you. "You ever do that?" The question hangs gently in the air, not demanding, just waiting with patience. And you feel something inside you shift. Not an earthquake, more like a door quietly opening. Before you answer, the night hum deepens. A cluster of stars above you drifts lower, swirling in a loose spiral like sleepy moths circling a lantern. The girl follows your gaze. "Oh," she whispers, her voice softening. "They're curious tonight." One of the drifting stars descends slowly toward her shoulder. She tilts her head just slightly, making room for it. The star settles just above her collarbone, glowing like a tiny pendant. "They can sense when someone's being honest," she says. "Stars love honesty. They're made of it." The star on her shoulder pulses once, a tiny heartbeat, then floats upward again. The girl lifts the jar in her lap, turning it slowly so the captured star inside sends patterns of light rippling across the grass. "You know," she begins, tucking her knees to her chest. "I used to think that if I kept enough stars, I could stop the dark from swallowing everything." She rests her chin on her knees. "But the more I collected, the heavier it all felt. I started carrying so many jars that I couldn't move freely anymore. I couldn't run, couldn't wander, couldn't even sleep without worrying something might break." She sighs, a sound that resembles a gentle deflation, like air leaving a balloon very politely. "The strange thing is, the sky didn't change." She looks up at the drifting constellations. "It still had enough light. I just couldn't see it because I was too busy trying to build my own." You lie back slowly, letting the earth support you. The ground is warm, comforting, steady, like a hand pressed between your shoulder blades, telling you it's okay to rest. The girl lies beside you, her jar between you both, its glow reflecting in her eyes. "Sometimes," she says quietly, "we hold on because we don't trust the universe to give us more light when we need it." A pause, a breath. The night listens. "But maybe," she adds, "the universe gives you exactly what you're willing to make space for." Above you, the stars pulse faintly, like a slow, synchronized inhale. And for a moment, everything feels weightless. You sit up again, the grass whispering softly as you move. The girl follows, brushing stray strands of starlight from her sweater. She picks up the jar, holding it loosely now, not with the tense grip she used before, but gently, like she's testing what it feels like to trust her hands. "Come with me," she says, standing. "There's something I want to show you." You walk with her through the willow-ringed clearing. A slim path opens as you approach, the branches parting with slow, graceful movements, as though bowing you through. The air becomes warmer, heavier with the scent of night flowers, velvety petals releasing fragrance the way tired people release secrets. The path curves into a small valley. Not dramatic, just a quiet dip in the earth, like a sigh made physical. The grass here glows faintly, lit from underneath by tiny luminous seeds. They pulse like little breathing embers, warming the shadows. "This is where I keep them," she says. At first, you don't understand what she means. And then you see them. Rows of glass jars stretch across the valley floor. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Each one holds a tiny star. Each one glows, some bright, some dim, some pulsing with slow rhythms like sleepy hearts drifting through dreams. The effect is breathtaking. The entire valley glimmers gently, like a constellation that decided to lie down and rest on the ground. But underneath the beauty, there's an undeniable heaviness, like the valley itself is holding its breath. You step forward, weaving between the jars. The light washes over your hands, your clothes, your face. Soft, warm, and strangely emotional. The girl watches you carefully, her shoulders hunching slightly, like she's waiting for judgment she already expects. "It looks peaceful," she says, "but it's not. Not really." She kneels beside a jar and brushes dust from its lid. "I didn't just collect stars," she confesses. "I collected moments, memories, things I wasn't ready to face." She points to one jar with a faint blue glow. "That one is the night I realized someone I loved wasn't coming back." She points to another, flickering gold. "That one is the day everything changed so suddenly I couldn't keep up." Her fingers touch a jar with soft lilac light. "And that one is a promise I made to myself that I never kept." She swallows softly, then looks up at you. "I trapped the light because I didn't trust the dark. But I also trapped my pain, my fear, my hope. Everything. Like if I kept it contained, I could keep it from hurting me." She stands again, dusting her palms. "But jars fill up. Even the strongest glass cracks eventually." You reach for one jar, a small one, barely glowing, and lift it gently. It feels warm, like holding a memory that's been asleep for years. "What happens if you open them?" you ask. The girl hesitates. Her gaze flicks to the jar in your hands, then to the thousands behind her. "I don't know," she admits. "I've never been brave enough to try." A star drifts low overhead, brushing your shoulder like encouragement. You turn the jar slowly. The girl holds her breath, not out of fear of you, but out of fear of what she spent years avoiding. "Want to try?" you ask softly. She stares at the jar. A long moment passes, then another. Finally, with a small, trembling nod, she steps closer. Her hand covers yours on the lid. Her fingers are cold, but beneath the cold, there's warmth, like someone whose hands have forgotten how to thaw. "Okay," she whispers, "together." And slowly, very slowly, you begin to twist the lid. The lid loosens with a soft click, so delicate it barely makes a sound. But the moment it shifts, the night reacts. The glowing grass brightens slightly. The drifting stars overhead pause in their slow spiral, as though curious about what you're doing. The girl's breath catches. "You can stop," she whispers, "if it's too much." But you don't stop. You twist the lid one more time. The jar opens. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. The jar simply sits there in your hands, warm and quiet. Then a tiny flicker, a soft, trembling pulse of pale light, rises from inside, floating upward like a sigh finally released from a lung that's held too much for too long. The star emerges slowly, hesitantly, like someone stepping out of a room they've lived in for years. It drifts above your palms, glowing faintly. The girl watches it with wide eyes. This is one of my oldest ones, she murmurs. I trapped it when I was still small. The star hovers, flickering like a struggling candle. It's tired, she whispers. I kept it hidden so long it forgot how to shine. Her voice cracks, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet fracture in the middle of a soft sentence. The star drifts upward, pausing in front of her chest. Its light brushes her collarbone, her throat, her cheek, almost like it's remembering her, almost like it's forgiving her. Then it flickers again, brighter this time, warm, awake. It's not angry, you say gently. It's just been waiting. The girl blinks quickly, tears pooling but not falling. You really think so? You nod. The star pulses, a steady, glowing thrum, and then rises higher and higher until it disappears into the drifting constellation overhead. The moment it joins the sky, the entire valley brightens by a subtle but unmistakable degree. The girl's hand flies to her mouth. That actually worked. You place the empty jar on the grass. It looks lighter now, hollow, but in a way that feels cleaner, like a room finally aired out after years of closed windows. The girl kneels suddenly, grabbing another jar, this one glowing with soft pink light. This one, she says breathlessly. This one kept me awake so many nights. Her hand shakes as she offers it to you. Can we open it? You nod, and she releases the jar into your hands like she's handing over a fragile part of herself. The lid twists easily, as though the jar has been waiting for this moment too. Light spills upward, soft, rosy, warm like morning sunlight shining through a curtain. The star emerges with more confidence than the last, swirling in a small circle, as if stretching after a long sleep. The girl laughs, a tiny, disbelieving sound. She covers her heart with both hands. It feels like letting something breathe, she whispers. You open another, and another, and another. Each star lifts into the air, glowing brighter as it finds freedom. Some rise, quickly, eager. Others drift hesitantly, taking their time. Some pause in front of the girl as though greeting her. With each jar, the valley brightens. With each release, the girl's shoulders relax a little more, as though years of accumulated weight are dissolving into the night. Finally, she stops, stands, takes a step back to look at the valley now dotted with empty jars. I thought the darkness would swallow everything, she whispers, but I think I was the one holding the night hostage. A soft breeze sweeps through the valley, lifting her hair. The jars clink softly as the wind stirs them. She looks at you with an expression you haven't seen from her yet. Not fear, not sadness, but something like wonder. Thank you, she says, not dramatically, just honestly. A star drifts down between you both, bright, warm, pulsing gently. The girl looks at it, then at you. I think, she says quietly, this one is yours. The star hovers, waiting, and the night stretches open, wide and soft, ready for whatever comes next. The star hovers between you and the girl, glowing with an amber warmth that feels strangely familiar. Not in a logical way, but in the way certain scents or songs feel like they've always belonged to you. It pulses gently, and the light seems to expand and contract with your breath, as though it's synchronizing itself to your rhythm. The girl steps back slightly, giving the star space. "It chose you," she murmurs. "Stars don't make mistakes. They always follow the quiet things inside people." You lift your hand slowly, and the star drifts toward it, settling just above your palm without touching your skin. Its warmth radiates softly, sinking into your fingers, then into your wrist, and gradually into your chest like a slow, steady candle being lit behind your ribs. The girl watches carefully, her expression shifting from curiosity to awe. "See?" she whispers. "It hears you." You don't know exactly what that means, but you feel it. An unspoken recognition, a gentle acknowledgement of something you've carried for a long time, but never quite named. The star pulses brighter, casting warm ripples across your shirt, your arms, your face. Then, in a slow, graceful motion, the star rises. It floats around you once, a soft loop, like a hug drawn in light, and then drifts upward into the night sky. But it doesn't leave. Instead, it stays just above your head, circling you like a small, benevolent satellite. The girl laughs quietly, a warm sound that loosens the valley's air. "Looks like you've got a follower now." You glance up at the star, and it brightens again in response. "It's funny," she says as she kneels beside another jar, "how the things we're scared to let out are often the ones that want to help us the most." She lifts a jar with trembling hands and holds it out to you. This one glows a deep orange, like sunset pressed into glass. "Will you open this one too?" You nod, taking the jar as she pulls her knees to her chest. She watches every movement, the twist of your hand, the soft creak of the lid, the faint, warm breath of light escaping the moment the seal breaks. The star inside rises, flickers uncertainly, then expands in a burst of warm color, like a sunrise stretching its limbs after a long hibernation. It circles the girl's head once, brushing her hair with soft gold, and she exhales, a breath that's been held for years. "That one was the day I thought I'd never be okay again," she whispers, "and I was wrong." The star joins the drifting lights overhead, adding its glow to the renewed constellation forming above the valley. When you look back at her, she's wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of her sweater. Not embarrassed, just human. "I didn't know it would feel like this," she admits. "Like I'm not losing anything, but making space." You smile softly, and she returns it, small but sincere. "Let's keep going," she says. "I'm ready now." You kneel beside her, surrounded by a sea of glowing jars, waiting for their stories to rise back into the sky. And the night shifts, brighter, gentler, as the two of you begin the quiet work of freeing the light. The valley becomes a symphony of soft light as more stars rise from their jars. Some emerge in slow spirals. Others drift upward like lanterns released during a festival. A few blink rapidly, as if surprised by the world they're returning to. With each jar you open, the air grows warmer, like the night is swelling with breath after being held tense for too long. The grass rustles gently, stirred by the passage of small, glowing constellations, returning to their sky. Beside you, the girl works with steady hands, not rushed, not frantic, just purposeful. She lifts a violet glowing jar from the ground and turns it slowly in her palms, watching the light swirl inside like a restless thought. "This one," she says quietly, "is a wish I made when I was too young to know what to do with it." You raise an eyebrow, curious. She smiles. "A wish to never grow up, to never lose anything, to never let anything change." She shakes her head softly. Turns out that's just another kind of jar. She hands it to you, and you open it carefully. The star rises, flickering with a soft violet hue that paints your hands in shades of twilight. It drifts upward with a slowness that feels like gratitude. When it disappears into the sky, the girl exhales. "You know what's strange?" she asks. "I thought opening these would feel like reliving all those moments. But it's softer, like I'm watching a film of someone else's memories." "Maybe they stopped being sharp when you let them breathe," you say. She considers that, turning it over in her mind. "I think you're right." A golden star drifts toward the two of you from above. Not from a jar, but from the sky itself. It slows, hesitates, then lands on the girl's shoulder like a tiny bird. She freezes. "Oh," she whispers. "I haven't had one come down to me before." The star pulses gently, and her eyes soften. "It feels like warmth," she murmurs, "like forgiveness." The star lifts again, returning to the sky with a gentle spiral of light. The girl watches it go, then brushes her sleeve across her cheek. "You know," she says, "I used to think the sky abandoned me. But now I think maybe I closed myself off so tightly I couldn't see it anymore." You nod, because that truth settles somewhere familiar inside you. She smiles at you. A small, tired, genuine smile. "You're good at this," she says quietly, "at helping the night remember itself." You open another jar, then another. The sky brightens with each release, like a mosaic being mended piece by piece. The girl pauses to stretch her back, her sweater rustling softly. "I think," she says, "there's one I need to open myself. Alone." She walks toward a jar set apart from the others. An old one, dusty, with a crack in its lid. The light inside is dim, almost invisible unless you're close. You stay where you are. She kneels, lifts the jar, holds it with both hands. For a moment, she says nothing. Then she whispers, "This one hurt." She opens it slowly. A faint, fragile glow escapes. A star so weak it barely rises at all. It hovers tremulously, flickering like it might go out. The girl leans forward, cupping her hands around it without touching. "It's okay," she murmurs. "You can go." The star brightens just a little. Enough to lift, enough to rise, enough to rejoin the sky. And when it does, the girl lets out a trembling breath that sounds like the release of years of hidden weight. You walk to her side. She doesn't speak. She just leans into you slightly, her shoulder touching yours. And in the warm glow of the renewed sky, her silence says everything. The sky above the valley is almost unrecognizable now. Bright, alive, swirling with star trails that drift in looping arcs like luminous fish in a vast dark sea. The light reflects off the girl's face, softening her features, making her look both younger and older at the same time. You stand beside her, surrounded by rows of empty jars that gleam faintly in the new starlight. "It feels different," she says quietly. "The valley, my chest, everything." She looks down at her hands as though seeing them anew. "They don't feel heavy anymore." A star dips low overhead, circling her once. She watches it with a soft smile. The wind has shifted too. Warmer now, almost playful, brushing your clothes and hair with gentle fingers like a curious cat. The girl steps between the empty jars, moving with a lightness she didn't have before. "It's strange," she says, "but I actually thought freeing all this light would leave me with nothing." She laughs softly. "But it feels like the opposite." You walk beside her through the valley, the jars clinking quietly as the breeze stirs them. They no longer look like prison cells. They look like lanterns waiting to be filled with something new. She crouches beside one last jar, one you hadn't noticed before, partially hidden under a tuft of glowing grass. It's small, cracked, and the lid is crooked. The light inside is barely visible, a soft glimmer like the last ember in a forgotten fireplace. "This one," she begins, then stops. You kneel beside her. She swallows. "This was the first one I ever took from the sky." Her finger traces the crack in the lid. "I was so afraid. I didn't know any better." You place your hand gently over hers. "Then let's help it go home." The girl nods, trembling but determined. Together, you lift the lid. The star inside doesn't rise at first. It wavers, trembling like a bird too frightened to fly. The girl brings her face close to it. Her voice is barely more than a breath. "I'm sorry," she whispers. The star brightens, slowly, tenderly, and then, with a soft, glowing exhale, it rises from the jar. It doesn't hurry. It floats upward with the delicacy of something learning how to move again after years of stillness. You and the girl watch in silence as it joins the sky. The moment it merges with the constellations, the entire valley glows brighter. A final, gentle bloom of light. The girl presses her hand to her heart. "I didn't know I'd been missing that piece," she says quietly. She turns to you. "You helped me find it." A soft warmth spreads through your chest, not from a star, but from something deeper, quieter. The girl looks at the sky, now whole, radiant, alive. "You know," she murmurs, "all this time, I thought the stars belonged to me because I kept them close." She shakes her head softly. "But I think they belong to me more when I let them go." A star descends, as if agreeing. It circles both of you once in a wide loop, a gesture of blessing, then returns to its place in the heavens. The girl breathes deeply, her shoulders relaxing fully for the first time. "I think," she says slowly, "I'm ready to leave the valley." She looks at you. "Will you come with me?" You nod. The night brightens, the jars gleam, and the path ahead opens, warm and golden, ready to lead you both into the next chapter of the story. You and the girl step away from the valley of jars, leaving the shimmering field behind you, like a dream that decided to stay awake a little longer. The sky overhead is no longer hesitant or thin. It's whole again, vibrant with small, glowing paths that drift between constellations like soft threads of golden thread. The girl walks ahead at first, her bare feet brushing gently through the glowing grass. There is a new steadiness in her steps, a quiet confidence that wasn't there earlier. Her sweater sways lightly around her, gathering bits of starlight like accidental embroidery. After a few moments, she slows her pace so you can walk beside her. "It feels like the night is different," she says, tilting her head upward. "Or maybe I'm different." You both follow a path that gradually rises out of the valley, a gentle slope woven with tiny luminous seeds that brighten with each step, lighting the way forward. As you climb, she speaks softly, as though testing how her voice sounds in her new freedom. "You know, when I first started bottling stars, I thought it was a kind of love, keeping things close, protecting them, saving them for later." She laughs under her breath. "But I think it was fear pretending to be love." You walk quietly, letting her words sink into the air between you, like petals drifting onto a still lake. "I told myself I was keeping the light safe," she continues, "but really, I was trying to keep myself safe from losing it." The path levels out, opening into a small ridge that overlooks the valley behind you. From here, the jars look faintly silver in the starlight, empty, waiting, harmless. The girl stops, staring down at them with a mix of nostalgia and calm. "I thought letting them go would leave me with nothing," she murmurs, "but it feels lighter, like there's room in my chest again." She turns to you, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Do you ever hold on to things too long?" Her eyes are gentle, not prying, just curious in that way someone becomes curious after learning about themselves. You think about it for a moment. The weight you carried earlier, the breath you let out, the star that circled you, like it knew something you hadn't said aloud. She seems to read the answer on your face before you even speak. "You don't have to tell me," she says softly. "It's enough that you're here." The wind picks up slightly, sweeping across the ridge with the scent of something warm and distant. Wood smoke, night flowers, memories of summer. Ahead, the path curves into a forest of tall, dark pines, whose needles shimmer faintly under the restored sky. At first glance, the forest looks quiet, but then you notice tiny lights drifting between the trunks, like sparks rising from a slow-burning fire. The girl steps toward it, her posture relaxed now, like she's walking into a familiar place she hasn't visited in years. "Let me show you where I used to go," she says with a soft smile, "before I got too busy collecting things to enjoy anything." You follow her beneath the arch of glowing branches, and the forest welcomes you with deep, calming breaths of cool air. The night thickens around you, but gently, like a blanket around your shoulders. And the journey continues. The forest is made of shadows and softly glowing outlines. Each tree seems wrapped in a thin film of starlight, as though the stars themselves remembered to linger on the bark before floating back to the sky. The path beneath your feet feels springy, cushioned by pine needles that release a soothing scent when stepped on. The girl walks a little slower here, her gaze scanning the branches overhead. "This forest used to scare me when I was little," she says, "not because it was dark, but because it felt alive." You glance around. She's right. The forest isn't silent. It hums, not in sound, but in presence, a warm, ancient awareness. "Now I think it was just waiting for me to be ready to understand it," she adds. A few drifting stars weave between the trees, dipping low enough to illuminate tiny mushrooms clustered along fallen logs. The mushrooms glow faintly with pale blue light, making the ground look like a scattered constellation. The girl crouches beside one and taps its cap gently with her fingertip. "They're called nightcaps," she says. "If you fall asleep near them, they give you really vivid dreams." She pauses, "But only the gentle kind." You smile, and she rolls her eyes playfully. "Yes, the forest has helpful mushrooms. It's a whole thing." You continue walking, your footsteps quiet on the soft ground. The deeper you go, the warmer the air becomes. Not hot, just comfortably warm, like walking past a bonfire that someone managed to hide behind the trees. As you round a bend, the warmth intensifies, and then you see why. A clearing opens ahead, illuminated by hundreds of floating embers. Tiny, fiery stars drifting slowly in spirals. They aren't as bright as the ones in the sky. They glow with a soft orange warmth, like sparks in slow motion. The girl steps into the clearing and spreads her arms. "This place," she says, "was my favorite." You follow her, feeling the warmth wrap around you like a calm, glowing cocoon. The embers drift around your arms, your shoulders, your hair, brushing you with soft heat that feels like being touched by a memory of comfort. "Whenever I felt overwhelmed," the girl says, "I'd come here and lie down." The embers would float above me, and it felt like someone whispering, "It's okay. Just rest." She moves to the center of the clearing and lies on her back. The embers gather above her in a loose cluster, forming a slow spiral. She pats the ground beside her. "Try it." You lie down next to her, the earth warm beneath your back. The embers drift lower, forming gentle swirls above your faces. Each ember pulses softly, syncing with your breath. "It's strange," she whispers, "how hard it is to let go of things, but how easy it feels once you start." The embers make soft patterns overhead, loops, waves, circles. One ember floats close to your cheek, radiating gentle warmth. The girl turns her head toward you. "You helped me open the jars," she says softly. "You helped me open myself a little too." Her voice isn't fragile anymore. It's steady, grounded. "But I want to help you too." You remain quiet, listening. "I don't know what you're carrying," she continues, "but you don't have to carry it alone." The embers pulse brighter, swirling in slow, hypnotic patterns. The night feels like it's listening again, waiting, holding space. "You came here for a reason," she says gently. "Just like the stars came back when I stopped tightening my grip." She closes her eyes. "And maybe there's something you're ready to let go of too." The embers drift closer, forming a warm canopy above both your faces. And the clearing feels like a place made for releases. You lie in the clearing with the girl, the embers spinning overhead in slow, spiraling ribbons of warm orange light. Their glow creates a soft halo around the two of you, illuminating your faces with a warmth that feels like honesty made visible. For a moment, neither of you speaks. The stillness isn't awkward. It's comfortable, like a quiet waiting room for the heart. The girl takes a slow breath. "You don't have to say anything," she murmurs, "but if you ever want to, I'm here." Her voice melts into the warmth of the embers, which drift lower, hovering just above your chests. The heat they emit is subtle, like the warmth of a hand placed gently between your shoulder blades. You inhale deeply, and the embers respond, lifting slightly, pulsing with the rise of your chest. The girl watches them. "They listen," she whispers. "They've always listened." A single ember detaches from the cluster above and drifts downward until it's hovering inches above your heart. It pulses, faintly, gently, inviting. The girl shifts to her side, propping herself on her elbow. Her voice softens. "I think it wants to help you let something go." The ember pulses again, warm and steady. A beacon, not a demand. You close your eyes, letting your thoughts drift like slow-moving clouds. The night is patient. The forest is quiet. Nothing rushes you. A memory surfaces, one you didn't summon, but which arrives anyway, carried by the ember's warmth. Not a sharp memory, not painful, just heavy. The girl notices the change in your breath. Her voice lowers to a whisper. "You don't have to open it all the way," she says. "Just loosen the lid a little." The wording hits you, gentle, familiar, exactly how she had learned to open the jars. You exhale, long and soft. The ember brightens. It floats closer, touching your chest with the faintest warmth. Not burning, not urgent, just a soft reminder. Everything inside you softens a little. Something small and knotted begins to loosen. Not break, not disappear. Just loosen. The girl watches with quiet understanding. She doesn't ask what the memory is. She doesn't pry. Instead, she takes your hand, lightly, like holding a bird that might fly, but won't be crushed. The ember lifts again, carrying a faint thread of dim, smoky light upward, like it's gently drawing something out that no longer needs to stay inside. You breathe, you let it go, and the ember rises higher, carrying the soft thread toward the sky. When it reaches the canopy of branches, it dissolves into tiny sparks that fade into the night. The girl squeezes your hand once. "See?" she whispers. "It doesn't disappear. It transforms." You open your eyes. The clearing seems even warmer. The embers overhead shift into a new formation, a slow, swirling helix, like a celebration performed in absolute silence. The girl lies back down beside you, her hair brushing lightly against your arm. "You didn't have to do that alone," she says. You look at the sky. It feels bigger now, easier to breathe under. The embers begin drifting upward, rising higher into the trees. Their warmth lingers like a memory of comfort. The girl stretches her arms above her head. "We should keep going soon," she says softly. "There's still more night to see." She rolls to her side, meeting your gaze. "And I want to show you all of it." She stands slowly, brushing pine needles from her sweater, then offers you her hand. You take it. The embers rise fully now, disappearing into the branches until the clearing is lit only by the natural starlight above. Bright, whole, living. Together, you step out of the clearing and into the deeper forest. The path ahead dappled with silver light, as if the night itself has decided to guide you. And somewhere far behind you, the last ember fades, carrying with it something you no longer need to hold. The forest deepens around you as you and the girl walk hand in hand beneath the tall, shimmering pines. Their needles glow faintly with residual starlight, casting soft patterns across the forest floor, like ripples of light on the bottom of a still lake. The air is cooler here, but not cold, just crisp enough to feel refreshing with every breath you take. The ground gently slopes downward, and the girl takes slow, careful steps, her bare feet brushing through layers of glowing moss. She pauses occasionally to touch a tree trunk or to tilt her head toward the sky, as though listening to something far above the branches. "I used to come here after bottling stars," she says quietly, "not to hide them, but to hide from myself." You raise an eyebrow slightly, and she gives a rueful smile. When you keep everything locked away, you start avoiding the places that make you feel things. This forest, it always knew too much. It saw through me. Her fingers tighten lightly around yours, as though grounding herself in the present moment. "But it doesn't scare me anymore," she adds, "not now that I can actually breathe in it." The path widens ahead, opening into a soft glade filled with luminous fog. The fog drifts across the ground, swirling lazily like a slow-moving tide. It's cool and fragrant, carrying hints of crushed leaves, night flowers, and something faintly metallic like distant rain. The girl steps into it without hesitation. The fog curls around her ankles, glowing faintly where it brushes her skin. "This is the tide," she murmurs. "It ebbs and flows. Not water, not air. Something in between." As you step into the glade, the fog wraps around your legs, cool at first but quickly warming, like a blanket adjusting to your body temperature. "If you listen closely," she whispers, "you can hear what the fog remembers." You pause, focusing. At first, you hear nothing but your breath. Then, faintly, whispers. Not voices exactly, more like impressions, echoes of feelings carried by the air itself. The girl's eyes soften. You hear it too. She kneels, trailing her fingers through the luminous mist. The fog reacts immediately, curling upward into delicate shapes. Spirals, waves, fleeting silhouettes that dissolve as quickly as they form. This place keeps the reflections of everything that's ever been felt here, she explains. Not memories, but the emotional temperature of them. She cups a handful of fog, letting it slide through her fingers. This is where I learned that you can't outrun how you feel. You can only walk through it. The fog pulses faintly around you, warm and soothing. You're safe, she murmurs, as though speaking to both the glade and to you. I promise. You step deeper into the tide. The fog thickens around your knees, glowing brighter as it senses two open hearts walking through it instead of one guarded one. A gentle hum rises. Not sound, but sensation, like the ground itself is exhaling. The girl closes her eyes and takes a long breath. Stand still for a moment, she says softly. Let it read you. You do. The fog climbs higher, swirling around your torso. Warm, gentle, curious. The hum grows deeper, resonant, like a slow heartbeat echoing through the clearing. You feel it then. The fog sensing the shape of everything inside you. The heaviness, the loosened knots, the breath you released. The small, soft ache still resting somewhere deep. Not painful, just present. The girl opens her eyes and watches the fog curl around you. It sees where you're tender, she whispers, and it holds it gently. The fog shifts color. A soft gold where it touches you, pale blue around her, and warm white where you stand together. I never walked through the tide with anyone before, she says quietly. I didn't know it could look like this. You breathe deeply, the fog breathes with you, and the glade glows brighter with every step forward. The fog begins to thin as you move toward the far end of the glade. It trails behind you like a soft veil lifting, returning to the ground to rest. The girl steps out of the tide first, brushing mist from her sweater as though clearing off dust, though nothing clings to her. Ahead, the forest opens into a grove filled with tall, silver-barked trees that shimmer faintly under the renewed sky. Their branches arch overhead in soft, sweeping patterns, creating a natural cathedral of light and shadow. The girl slows as she enters the grove. Her voice lowers into something reverent. This place, she whispers, is where the night sings. You listen. At first, there's only silence, deep, velvety, comforting. Then, little by little, you hear it. Small tones, soft, drifting notes, barely there harmonies that seem to rise from the trees themselves. It's not music exactly, more like the emotional afterglow of music, a memory of sound carried gently through the air. The girl walks toward one of the silver trees and places her palm against its bark. The tree brightens under her touch, sending a soft ripple of light up the trunk and into the branches. A faint tone rises, warm, low, soothing. This one remembers gratitude, she murmurs. Every tree here remembers something different. You step toward another tree. Its bark glows cool blue under your hand, and a delicate, airy note rings out, like wind chimes heard from underwater. The girl's eyebrows lift. Oh, that one remembers hope. She moves to a third tree, pressing her fingertips lightly against the bark. Its glow deepens to a rich amber, and the air vibrates with a soft, trembling chord, gentle but with depth. This one remembers forgiveness. She looks at you meaningfully. They're not just repeating old feelings, she explains. They're offering them. You move from tree to tree, touching the bark, listening to each new emotion. Comfort, wonder, peace, courage, stillness, tenderness. One tree emits a note so soft and low you barely hear it. But you feel it. A warmth settles into your diaphragm, loosening something subtle and long-held. What does this one remember? You ask quietly. The girl moves closer, placing her hand beside yours. The tree glows a gentle, steady gold. Oh, she breathes. That one remembers letting go. You look at her, and she looks back, not as a girl guarding her pain, but as someone who has walked through herself and come out the other side softer, clearer, lighter. We don't have to stay here long, she says, but I wanted you to hear it. Because the night doesn't just take things from us. It gives things back too. She steps away from the tree, tilting her head as new harmonies drift through the grove. You hear that? She asks. You do. The tones shift gently, not repeating, not looping, but evolving in response to the two of you. They're singing you, she says softly. The night does that when it finally understands someone. The grove glows a little brighter, the tones warm, and for a moment you feel completely known, not exposed, not judged, just understood on a level that doesn't require words. The girl takes your hand again. There's one more place, she says gently. Somewhere you need to see before the night grows tired. And with the soft music of the trees trailing behind you, you follow her deeper into the forest. The grove fades into shadow as the two of you walk farther into the heart of the forest. The air becomes still, not heavy, just quiet, like the world is holding its breath in anticipation of something sacred. The girl slows her pace. Her posture shifts, not tense, but intentional, like someone approaching a place that matters. There's something I want to show you, she says softly, something I've only ever seen alone. The trees thin until you step into a small, circular meadow. No fog, no embers, no glowing mushrooms, just stillness, and above it, a perfectly clear patch of sky. Unobstructed, wide, deep, every star visible. The girl walks to the center of the meadow and sits in the grass. She pats the ground beside her. Sit. You do. She lifts her face toward the sky, eyes half-lidded, breathing slowly. When I first found this place, she says, I was younger, lost, more afraid than I could admit. She runs her hands through the grass, fidgeting with a small flower bud. I came here after bottling my first star. I was proud of it, until I looked up and realized how big the sky really was. She exhales softly. That was the first time I felt small, and not the bad kind of small, the kind where you realize you don't have to carry the whole world. She gestures upward. Look. You tilt your head back. For the first time tonight, the sky isn't just beautiful. It's infinite in a way that feels welcoming instead of overwhelming. Stars drift slowly across it, leaving faint trails of light behind them. Some pulse gently, some glide in soft arcs, some gather in small groups like whispering friends. And then you notice something strange. The stars aren't just drifting randomly. They're arranging themselves, forming shapes, patterns, almost words. The girl sees your expression and smiles softly. Yeah, she whispers. They do that sometimes when they have something to say. The lights shift again, forming a loose, glowing spiral above you. The same shape the embers formed earlier, but larger, quieter, more ancient. The girl watches the sky, her face softened by wonder. When I first saw this, she murmurs, I thought the stars were trying to tell me the future, or give me a message, or reveal some cosmic truth. She lies back in the grass, her hair spreading like ink around her. But now I think, maybe they were just showing me what it feels like to be held by something bigger than my fear. You lie back beside her. The stars shift again, not forming words this time, but expanding, like the sky itself is opening its arms. The girl turns her head toward you. You've let go of something tonight, she says quietly. I could feel it. The forest could too. A faint breeze brushes your cheeks, smelling of starlight and cool midnight. The girl continues, "There's something people never tell you about letting go." She pauses. "It doesn't make you emptier. It makes you more spacious." She spreads her arms out in the grass. More room for light, more room for breath, more room for whatever comes next. The stars pulse overhead, as though agreeing. The girl closes her eyes. "This meadow," she whispers, "is where the sky teaches you how to exhale." You imitate her posture, letting your arms sink into the grass. And as the stars drift in slow spirals above you both, you take the deepest breath you've taken all night. And the night exhales with you. You and the girl lie in the meadow for a long while, watching the sky breathe above you. The stars drift in slow, swirling movements. Not chaotic, not random, but with a kind of quiet intention, as if the universe is painting something new each time you blink. Eventually the girl sits up, brushing blades of grass from her sweater. She hugs her knees loosely and looks at you with an expression that's gentle but focused, as if she's trying to understand the shape of your silence. "There's a place deeper in the forest," she says softly, "that I've never taken anyone, mostly because I didn't think anyone could walk there without breaking." She pauses, then adds, "But you, I think you can." She rises, offering you her hand again. Her touch is warm now, not trembling, not searching, but steady, confident. You stand, and together you cross the meadow. As you step out from the open sky, the air shifts, not colder or darker, but more contained, like a doorway into a quieter layer of night. The forest becomes denser, but in a comforting way. Branches arch overhead, holding pools of soft shadow. The stars peek between leaves like small lanterns hung in the canopy. The girl leads you along a narrow path, lined with moss that glows faintly under your feet. Each step causes the moss to release tiny sparks of light, as if acknowledging your presence. "This part of the forest listens differently," she says. "It hears what people don't say." You look at her, and she gives a small smile. "Don't worry. It doesn't judge. It just understands." The trees here are taller, impossibly tall, their trunks stretching upward like pillars holding up the night. Their bark glimmers with soft silver streaks. Their leaves rustle with a sound like whispered lullabies. As you walk, you notice that the air feels heavier, not oppressive, more like a room filled with memories, where every breath stirs something that has been still for a long time. The girl senses your shift in posture. "You're feeling it," she says quietly. "It means you're close." The path narrows until it becomes a tunnel of low-hanging branches. She ducks beneath them and you follow, brushing aside clusters of leaves that glow faintly when touched. On the other side, the tunnel opens into a clearing unlike anything you've seen tonight. At the center stands a single, ancient tree, thicker than a house, its trunk spiraling upward like a column carved by centuries of wind. The bark is dark and worn, but from within it shines a soft, deep light, a pulse, slow and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of the forest itself. The girl stops at the edge of the clearing. "This," she whispers, "is the memory tree." The ground around the tree is bare. No fog, no mushrooms, no glowing moss. Just clean, dark earth, as if the tree has drawn every stray emotion into itself. She looks at you with eyes that seem older now, wiser. "It doesn't store memories," she explains. "It reflects them. Whatever you carry inside, it shows you the roots of it." She walks forward a few steps, then stops. "I came here once," she says, "when I was so full of fear that I couldn't breathe." She touches her chest lightly. The tree didn't take the fear away, but it showed me what it was made of, and that was enough to loosen it. She turns to you. I think it might help you too. The clearing falls quiet. The air thickens, not with tension, but with possibility. You step forward, drawn toward the tree, feeling the pull of something ancient and patient, waiting to show you what lies beneath the surface of your heart. And the girl stays just behind you, close enough to support you, far enough to let you meet the moment on your own. You approach the memory tree slowly, each step sinking softly into the dark earth. Up close, the tree's bark looks almost fluid. The silver streaks shift gently beneath the surface, like currents moving within deep water. You place your hand against the trunk. The bark is warm, warmer than anything you've touched tonight. It throbs faintly under your palm, like it's breathing with you. The girl watches from a respectful distance, her hands clasped in front of her, her expression soft and steady. At first, nothing happens. Then, a subtle vibration moves through the tree into your hand. Not uncomfortable, just present. The air ripples lightly, like heat rising from pavement. And then the world around you shifts. The clearing doesn't disappear. It changes, colors deepening, shadows softening, the night quieting until everything feels suspended between one heartbeat and the next. The girl's voice reaches you softly, as if from far away. Don't fight it, just breathe. You do. And the memory tree responds. A faint glow emerges from the trunk, spreading outward until the entire surface shimmers like moonlight, seen through water. Beneath your hand, the glow begins to form shapes, not recognizable images, not memories replaying like scenes in a film, more like textures, sensations, emotional echoes. You feel warmth first, a deep one, rooted somewhere in your chest. Comfort, belonging, moments that shaped you gently. Then a small tremor, not fear exactly, but the shadow of an old fear, a heaviness familiar and quiet. The glow shifts darker, swirling like ink dispersing in water. The girl steps closer, her voice lowering. It's showing you what's anchored in you, the parts that stayed even when you tried to let them go. You watch the shifting glow until it forms something clearer. A knot. A small, tight, tangled knot of light and shadow intertwined. Not ugly, not broken, just bound. This, the girl says, standing beside you now, is what you carried. You don't need to know exactly what moment or memory it represents. The shape says enough. Something held too long. Something carried carefully. Something that asked to be released quietly, without drama or noise. The memory tree pulses, the knot brightens, and you feel something in your own chest echo the movement. A small loosening, a softening, an opening. The girl touches your shoulder lightly. You don't have to force it, she murmurs. You're not here to fix it, only to see it. The knot flickers, slowly unwinding. Not fully, not erased, but relaxed, like a clenched hand finally opening its fingers. You take a long breath. The tree breathes with you. And then the glow begins to fade, sinking back into the bark like a tide receding. The air clears. The colors return. The clearing settles around you. And the girl steps in front of you, searching your face. You're different, she says softly. Something in you shifted. You can feel it. Not a dramatic transformation, just more space inside yourself, more air, more quiet. She smiles and takes your hand. Come on, she whispers. There's still one last place I want to show you tonight. You walk with the girl along a narrow path that winds behind the memory tree. The air feels lighter now, not physically, but emotionally, as though the forest has recognized your openness and decided to let in more breath, more warmth, more ease. The trees grow closer together, their branches forming a natural tunnel overhead. Through gaps in the leaves, you can see the stars drifting slowly, brighter now, more abundant, as though the night itself is celebrating something quietly. The girl squeezes your hand. "You handled the memory tree better than I did the first time," she says with a knowing smile. "I cried for hours." You chuckle softly, and she rolls her eyes. "I mean, dramatic crying, the kind where you sound like an old door hinge." She imitates it, letting out a creaky whine that startles a few glowing insects nearby. You laugh, and she grins, proud of herself. "But honestly," she adds, "it's good to let things move. Even the ugly things, especially the ugly things." The trees thin, and the forest opens into a slope, overlooking a wide, shimmering lake. The girl stops. "This," she whispers, "is the quiet lake." The lake stretches out in front of you, perfectly still. Not a ripple, not a wave. Its surface reflects the night sky so clearly, it looks like a second world. An upside-down universe, where stars drift beneath the water instead of above it. The girl steps toward the shoreline, her feet sinking lightly into cool, soft sand. "Come closer," she says, beckoning you with a gentle tilt of her head. When you stand beside her, you see your reflection in the water. But it's softer, not blurred, not distorted. Just softened, like looking at yourself from a memory rather than a mirror. "Sit with me," she says. You both lower yourselves to the ground, the sand cool beneath your hands. The girl lets out a long, slow breath. "This lake doesn't speak," she explains. "It doesn't glow. It doesn't hum. It doesn't show memories." She picks up a small pebble and rolls it between her fingers. "It just listens." She tosses the pebble into the lake, and instead of a splash, it sinks without a sound. The ripples that should follow never appear. The water stays perfectly still. "It absorbs everything," she murmurs. "Fear, worry, doubts, every quiet ache that doesn't have a name." She gestures toward the lake. "If you look into it long enough, you'll notice something." You lean forward. At first, all you see is your reflection and the stars mirrored inside it. Then, slowly you realize, there is no tension in your reflection's shoulders, no weight in the eyes, no tightness around the mouth. It looks like you, but a version of you without burden. The girl watches your reaction. "It shows you what you look like when you're not carrying anything," she says softly. "So you remember it's possible." The lake remains still, silent, reassuring. The girl rests her head lightly on your shoulder. "You don't have to let go of everything tonight," she whispers. "But whatever you do, let go of. The lake will hold it for you." A breeze passes over the water. The stars reflected beneath the surface tremble gently, not rippling, just stirring, like they're breathing. The girl closes her eyes. "You're almost ready," she murmurs, "for the last part of the night." She lifts her head and smiles, warm, steady, sure. "When you are, just say so." The breeze settles again, soft and steady, brushing your arms like a gentle hand. The quiet lake remains still, offering its silent reflection of the world above. The sky, the stars, the faint glow of the trees behind you, and the two of you sitting side by side on the sand. The girl hugs her knees, gazing at the mirrored sky. "You know," she says softly, I used to come here when I thought I had to hold myself perfectly together, when I believed breaking meant failing. She tosses another pebble into the lake. Again, no splash, no ripple, just absorption. The lake swallowing sound and tension at the same time. I'd sit here and imagine what it would be like to loosen just one thing. She shrugs lightly. Sometimes all you need is a place that doesn't ask anything of you. She glances at you. You've been carrying something for so long that you stopped noticing the weight. She pauses. I know that feeling too well. You exhale slowly. The night seems to exhale with you. The lake reflects a version of you who looks softer, more open, more at ease. A version unburdened. The girl notices your gaze and nods. That version of you, she says. It's not a fantasy. It's you without the extra heaviness. She leans back on her hands, looking up. The last time I sat here before tonight, I told the lake I wished someone could sit beside me one day. Someone who wouldn't try to fix me or protect me. Just sit. She smiles gently. And now you're here. A star drifts low over the lake, its reflection crossing yours like a small glowing brushstroke. The girl reaches out and lets her fingers hover an inch above the water. You don't have to throw anything in, she murmurs. Sometimes letting go doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it's just deciding that the weight you carry doesn't deserve to shape your days anymore. She pulls her hand back and looks at you with quiet intensity. You don't owe the world your heaviness. The lake, as if responding, grows a little brighter. Not glowing, just clearer, sharper, more honest. She tilts her head. Are you ready? She asks. Ready for what? You ask softly. To see where the night ends, she whispers, and where morning begins. She rises slowly, brushing sand from her hands. The trees behind you seem to lean inward, opening a faintly glowing path, almost like the forest is bowing its head. The girl steps onto the path and extends her hand. Come, she says. There's one last truth the night wants you to see. You take her hand, and together you leave the quiet lake behind, its reflection of you staying perfectly still, as if holding the gentler version for whenever you choose to return. The path from the lake winds upward through a gentle slope, lined with stones that glow softly under your feet. Though the forest is dense, the night feels lighter than ever, as though your steps have begun to move in harmony with something ancient and kind. The girl walks a half step ahead, letting her fingertips brush the mossy trunks as you pass. Her steps are slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. You've seen this forest the way I've seen it, she says quietly. The embers, the tide, the memory tree, the quiet lake. The night only reveals those things to people who are ready to soften. She glances over her shoulder at you with a small smile. And you softened beautifully. A cluster of drifting stars descends between the branches above, swirling in a loose formation that follows the two of you along the path, like a curious constellation. They're guiding us, she whispers. The forest begins to thin until the trees give way to a wide plateau. A soft wind sweeps across it, carrying cool night air mixed with the faint scent of morning. A crispness that suggests dawn is still far away, but not infinitely so. At the plateau's center stands a large, smooth stone, flat, wide, and bowed slightly, like a shallow bowl carved by time. Around it, small flowers glow with soft blue petals, opening only under starlight. The girl approaches the stone reverently. This, she says, is the listening stone. She runs her hand across the surface, and the stone brightens under her touch. It doesn't speak, she explains. It doesn't show, or reveal, or echo anything. She turns to face you. It hears truth. You step closer. The stone radiates a warmth that's different from the embers in the tree. Deeper, steadier, older. How does it hear? You ask. She smiles softly, through stillness. She sits on the stone and gestures for you to sit beside her. When I first came here, she says, I expected the stone to tell me what to do, or how to feel, or what step to take next. She laughs under her breath. But it didn't. It just held space, quietly, like it was saying, whenever you're ready, I'll listen. You sit beside her. The stone is surprisingly comfortable, warm, smooth, grounding. The girl closes her eyes. If you want to hear what your night has been leading toward, all you have to do is breathe and be honest. You place your hands on the stone. It warms beneath your palms almost immediately. She turns her face toward you, eyes soft, voice low. What truth do you need to say, even if you only say it inside yourself? The night falls absolutely silent. Even the wind seems to pause. You breathe. The stone warms. Something inside you opens, slowly, quietly, gently. Not a confession, not a dramatic revelation, just a truth you've needed to admit to yourself. And the listening stone receives it without judgment, without reaction, with only presence, steady and patient. The girl nods, as if she felt the shift without hearing your thoughts. That's it, she whispers. That's all the night ever wanted. The stone's warmth fades softly, signaling completion. The girl stands. There's just one more place, she says, and it's the most beautiful of all. She takes your hand again and leads you toward the far end of the plateau, where a narrow archway forms between two ancient trees. The air beyond it glows with soft gold, and the night's final secret waits. You step through the archway and find yourself on a high hill overlooking the sleeping world. The sky opens wide above you, a deep, rich midnight blue swirling with stars that move like slow fireflies across a vast canvas. But the hill itself is breathtaking. Tall grasses sway in the breeze, catching starlight in shimmering silver waves. Tiny glowing petals drift through the air like quiet snowfall. The ground pulses with faint warmth, as if the hill has its own heartbeat. The girl walks ahead and spins slowly in the center of the hill, letting the night breeze lift her hair. This, she whispers, is the hill of first light. You look around. It doesn't look like morning. The stars are bright. The sky is dark. Nothing hints at dawn. The girl smiles and sits in the grass. Dawn doesn't begin when the sun rises, she says. It begins when you feel ready for it. She pats the ground beside her. Sit. You do. For a while, neither of you speak. The night wraps around you gently. Cool, calm, endlessly patient. Then the girl takes a slow breath. You've walked through everything tonight, she says. The places where the night glows, where it remembers, where it listens, and where it teaches you how to let go. She looks at you with a soft, earnest expression. Now there's only one thing left. She lifts her hand toward the sky. At first, nothing changes. Then, one star moves. It drifts downward from the sky in a slow, graceful arc, glowing brighter as it descends. Its light is warm and golden, unlike the cooler lights you've seen before. The girl watches it with a tenderness that makes your chest ache. This star isn't one you or I ever bottled, she says. It's one that comes only when someone has walked the night with an open heart. The star hovers in front of you, pulsing calmly, warmly, like a tiny sun preparing to rise. The girl leans close and whispers, "Touch it." You lift your hand slowly. The star moves toward you, settling just above your palm. Its light spreads across your fingers, down your wrist, through your arm, and into your chest. Not in a flash, not in a burst, but in a slow, steady bloom of warmth. And suddenly, you feel it. Every soft release, every breath you loosened, every truth you allowed yourself to see, every small unburdening, all reflected back to you as light. The girl watches the transformation gently. That, she whispers, is your first light. The star brightens, not to blind, but to illuminate. Your chest warms, your breath deepens, and for the first time, you feel the quiet beginning of dawn inside yourself. The girl touches your arm softly. When you're ready, she says, we'll walk into the last part of the night. She stands slowly, brushing the silver grasses with her hands. The star floats upward a few inches, still connected to you by a warmth you can feel in your ribs. The girl walks toward a small path leading down the hill, a path lined with gold-tipped flowers that glow faintly, as though sensing the star's presence. She looks over her shoulder, smiling softly. Come, she says. We're almost home. You follow the girl down the gentle slope of the hill of first light. The golden-tipped flowers sway as you pass, brushing your legs with soft luminescence. The star that hovered over your palm drifts beside you now, not touching, but close enough that you feel its warmth threading through the air like a soft hum. At the bottom of the hill, the path narrows, guiding you between two old trees whose bark glows faintly like embers nearly gone cold. As you step between them, the air changes, not colder, not warmer, just different, like stepping into the final room of a long, soulful journey. The girl slows her steps. We're close now, she murmurs, the place where the night stops teaching and starts opening. The forest clears, revealing a wide plain covered in tall grass that moves like liquid silver in the wind. In the center of the plain stands a small wooden structure, simple, delicate, and glowing faintly, as though lit from within by a single candle. It looks like a cabin, or a shrine, or a memory someone built a long time ago. The girl's voice softens. I found it when I was lost. I didn't go inside at first. I thought the night was finished with me. But the night had one more thing to show. You walk with her until you reach the small structure. Up close, it feels impossibly familiar, like something you once dreamed of, but forgot upon waking. The wooden door is carved with gentle spirals, the same shape the embers formed in the clearing, and the stars formed above the meadow. Symbols of letting go, symbols of beginning again. The girl places her hand on the door. Whatever you've learned tonight, she says, this is where it settles. She looks at you, fully, openly, and there's gratitude in her eyes, and courage, and something like peace. Are you ready? You nod. She opens the door. Inside, the room is empty, except for light. Not bright light, not golden light, just soft, warm, the kind of glow that fills a room exactly the way comfort fills a chest. There is no furniture, no objects, nothing to interpret. Only quiet, only space, only light. The girl steps inside and turns back to you. This is the room of returning, she says, where every piece of you that softened tonight comes home. The star that floats beside you enters first, drifting to the center of the room and glowing brighter. Not blinding, just clear, like something that was always meant to shine exactly this way. The girl kneels on the floor and closes her eyes. You don't leave this place changed, she whispers. You leave remembering the you that the world tried to make you forget. The room hums gently, like a heartbeat echoing through wooden walls. You sit beside her. The room brightens softly, and for a moment, there is nothing but breath and light. As you sit in the room of returning, The warmth of the star fills the space around you, settling gently into your shoulders, your spine, the quiet behind your ribs. It isn't forceful. It doesn't push. It simply offers itself, like someone opening their hands to you, saying, "Here, this is yours too." The girl places her palms flat on the wooden floor. The light responds by rising gently around her fingers, following the soft movement of her breath. "When I first came here," she says, "I thought the room was empty because it wanted me to fill it with something. A confession, a truth, a promise." She shakes her head lightly, but it was the opposite. She opens her eyes. "It was empty so I could finally stop performing." You inhale, slow, steady, and feel the truth of her words settle through the light. The walls pulse softly, matching the rhythm of your breath. The girl looks around the room, like greeting an old friend. "This room reminds you of something simple," she says, "that you don't have to earn rest." She glances at you. You just have to allow it. The star above you brightens again, sending warm rays gliding across the wooden floor. They don't form shapes or messages. They just move, gently, softly, like a calm tide washing over sand. The girl tilts her head. "You know," she murmurs, "I think people forget that healing is quiet. They expect fireworks, revelations, sudden transformations." She gestures around her. But it's really just this: warmth, space, stillness, and the choice to breathe softer than before. You feel something inside you settle. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but definitively, like a book closing on a chapter you no longer need to reread. The girl watches your face and nods, satisfied. "You're making space," she says. "Space for light, space for calm, space for yourself." The star dips lower until it hovers right in front of your chest. You can feel its warmth almost touching you, like a hand hovering before becoming a hug. The girl stands slowly. "There's one more place the night wants us to go," she says quietly. "The last step." You rise beside her. The star floats to the door, glowing brighter like a guide. The girl places her hand on the doorframe. "This part is gentle," she says. "It's the part where the night reminds you that beginnings don't need to be loud." She looks at you, deeply, kindly. "Come, we'll walk together." She steps into the cool night air. You follow. The star drifts ahead of you, lighting a path through the plain toward a distant golden glow on the horizon. The path from the room of returning leads toward a low ridge in the distance. The air grows warmer with each step, carrying the faint scent of dew and newness. That quiet, unmistakable fragrance that comes just before dawn. The girl walks beside you with unhurried steps. She no longer clutches the jar she once carried, no longer glances nervously at the sky. Her movements are lighter now, her shoulders looser, her presence softer. "You feel it too, don't you?" she asks, "the night changing." You do. The sky is still dark, but the stars seem to hum with a quieter energy, like the final notes of a song that has carried you for hours. As you reach the ridge, a gentle mist curls around your ankles. Not cold, just cool enough to feel like the earth is exhaling beneath you. Beyond the ridge is a wide field of tall, whispering grass. Each blade glows briefly as the star passes over it, as though acknowledging its presence. And far across the field, you see it, a soft golden glow just above the horizon. Not sunlight, not fire, something humbler, softer, like dawn rehearsing before the real performance. The girl notices your gaze. "That," she whispers, "is the threshold." She guides you into the field. The grasses part gently, brushing your legs with a cool, feather-like cadence, that matches the slow rhythm of your breath. As you walk, the star drifts closer to your shoulder, almost touching, as if preparing you for something tender. "This is where the night ends," the girl says, "but not because the sun rises." She glances at you, her expression gentle, sincere. "It ends because you're ready." The two of you reach the center of the field. The golden glow expands slightly, brightening the horizon in a calm, patient pulse. The girl steps in front of you. "When I first came here," she says, "I felt nervous. I thought stepping into the threshold meant letting go of everything at once." She smiles. "But it doesn't. It just means you trust yourself enough to rest." She reaches out and takes your hand. The night has walked with you. Now it's time for you to walk into yourself. The star drifts downward until it hovers at chest height, warming your ribs, your heart, your breath. The girl squeezes your hand. "You've let go of enough tonight," she whispers. "More than you think." She steps closer, resting her forehead gently against yours. "Now, it's time to step forward." The golden glow pulses softly. The star brightens. The field holds its breath. And the night waits. The golden glow on the horizon brightens slowly, spreading across the tall grasses like warm fingers brushing the tips of each blade. It isn't sunlight, not yet, but something gentler. The promise of morning, the idea of beginning, the softness that comes before change. The girl releases your hand and steps back a little, giving you space. Not distance, just enough room for you to move at your own pace. "You don't have to step into it quickly," she says softly. "Beginnings never hurry." The star floats down until it rests just above the ground. Its light spreads in a small circle beneath your feet, creating a threshold within the threshold, a symbol of the moment you're standing in. The girl watches you with an expression that mixes admiration, gratitude, and something like pride. "You walked the night honestly," she whispers. "You faced every quiet thing it showed you, even the parts you didn't expect." She moves to stand beside you again. "I'm going to step with you," she says, "but only up to the edge. The rest is yours." The golden glow brightens again, and you step forward slowly, feeling the warmth expand into your chest. It isn't dramatic. It isn't overwhelming. It feels like a soft light being turned on inside your ribcage, the kind you didn't realize you dimmed. The girl steps with you, matching your pace. The air shifts around you, the grasses quieting, the stars pausing in their slow drift. Then she stops. She places a gentle hand on your back. "This is your moment," she murmurs. "I'll be right here, but you're the one who steps through." The star rises one more time. It pulses, once, twice, and then lifts into the air, drifting toward the horizon's soft gold until it dissolves into it like a drop of warmth, returning to its source. You inhale slowly. The breath feels deeper than any you've taken tonight, and as you exhale, the golden glow spreads toward you, touching your feet, then your legs, then your chest. The girl watches. "You're ready," she whispers. And you step forward. The moment you step into the golden glow, the world softens, not brightens, not changes, softens. The air warms, wrapping around your shoulders like a gentle embrace. The grass beneath your feet hums faintly, as though recognizing your presence. The glow rises around your legs, brushing your skin with a sensation like warm breath on cool morning air. The girl doesn't follow. She remains at the edge, not out of distance, but out of respect. "This isn't about me anymore," she says softly. This is your first light. You take another step. The glow expands, swirling around you in slow, gentle movements. It doesn't rush. It doesn't push. It simply invites. The girl's voice drifts through the field like a warm thread. Everything you let go tonight. It made space for this. A small breeze rises, brushing the golden light into subtle spirals. They curl around your arms, your neck, your chest, not binding but freeing, like someone lifting invisible weight from your shoulders. The world will feel different after this, she murmurs, not because it changed, but because you did. The glow pulses gently. You close your eyes, and the light enters you, not like a flood, not like a revelation, but like a soft, steady dawn rising behind your ribs. You see nothing. You see everything. Warmth, space, stillness, peace. When you open your eyes, the golden glow begins to recede, pulling softly back toward the horizon, like a tide moving home after brushing the shore. You turn toward the girl. She smiles. There, she whispers. You walked into your own morning. The glow fades into the horizon, leaving the night softer, calmer, quieter than before. The stars above no longer drift with purpose. They rest now, settled into their rightful places in the sky, shining gently like lanterns left to keep watch. The girl walks toward you across the field. Her steps are slow, but there is a lightness to them, the kind that comes after a long journey home. You did it, she says simply. She stands in front of you, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. Her eyes hold no sadness now, no fear, only the calm of someone who has finally made peace with the night. You carried your light back into yourself, she says, and that's all the night ever wanted. The two of you begin walking back across the field, side by side. The grasses bow softly as you pass, bending with a quiet farewell. The girl looks up at the sky. You know, she says softly, stars aren't just beautiful because they shine. She smiles gently. They're beautiful because they shine after darkness. You walk together through the arch of ancient trees, their branches glowing faintly, as if nodding in approval. The path feels different now, lighter, less like a place of shadows, and more like a place that remembers softness. As you near the edge of the forest, the girl steps ahead and turns to face you. I'm not going with you from here, she says. Her voice is calm, not sorrowful. You don't need me anymore. Before you can speak, she places a hand over your heart, warm, steady, grounding. You walk into the rest of the world with your own light now. She steps back, her figure glowing faintly in the starlight, and the night will always remember you. She smiles, soft, peaceful, fully at ease. Walk gently, she whispers, and the night opens behind her like a curtain. The forest fades, the valley fades, the last stars drift upward, and only warmth remains. The world around you settles into a calm, velvety darkness, the kind that holds you softly, like a blanket drawn up to your chin. You feel heavier in a pleasant way, as though your body has begun its quiet descent into rest. The air is warm. Your breath is slow. The night hums faintly, like a lullaby played on the softest string. You close your eyes. You feel the spaces inside you, the cleared ones, the softened ones, the ones no longer burdened. And the warmth that fills them now is steady, gentle, alive. The stars overhead remain still. Nothing moves quickly. Nothing demands anything. It's just you, lying in the quiet, with light in your chest and calm in your breath. You feel the presence of the girl, not beside you, but in the way the night wraps itself around you, in the way everything feels softer, in the way you feel less alone. The golden warmth lingers behind your ribs, pulsing faintly, like a quiet reminder. You let go. You softened. You reclaimed your own morning. And now, it's time to rest. The night deepens around you, turning into a soft cradle. Your breath slows. Your thoughts drift. Your body sinks comfortably into stillness, and sleep begins to gather around you like gentle arms. The golden light softens around you, drifting in slow, warm currents that feel almost like a blanket being lowered over your shoulders. Your footsteps grow quieter, lighter, fading gradually into the glow as the dream world begins to dim and dissolve, like a sunrise playing in reverse. The warmth in your chest settles into a steady ember, not bright, not demanding, just present. A quiet reminder that something inside you has shifted, softened, awakened. You carry it now. Every breath brushes against it. Every moment of stillness nourishes it. Around you, the last shapes of the dream fade into gentle darkness. The stars soften. The mist evaporates. The valley slowly folds itself away, like a page being turned with care. You feel the sensation of coming home to yourself. The world grows quieter. The night deepens. Your breath slows, and sleep rises around you like a soft tide returning. Stay here. Rest here. Let the quiet hold you. You've walked far enough for tonight. Thank you for listening to Mindtales Sleep Stories. If you enjoyed this story, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs a peaceful night.